You know that feeling, right? Something goes wrong at work, an incident, a big mistake, and your stomach just drops. For a lot of leaders, the first instinct is stress, and then immediately this hunt for who's to blame. But what if that's completely backward? Today, we're going to walk through a checklist that flips that script, turning a blame game into a massive opportunity to actually learn and get better.
All right, here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about a whole new mindset that gets us beyond blame. Then, we'll cover what to do in those first critical moments when you hear the bad news. From there, we'll get into how to uncover what really happened. And finally, we'll wrap up with how to turn it all into real improvement, together as a team.
And really, it all starts right here with one single choice. The second you hear about an incident, you're at a fork in the road. And the path you take in that first moment, it changes everything that comes after. This question, it's just so automatic, isn't it? Our brains are just wired to look for a simple cause and effect, to point a finger. And asking who feels like you're doing something, but honestly, it's the most destructive place you can possibly start. Just look at the difference here. The blame approach, it's a dead end. People get defensive, they clam up, and they hide information because they're scared. You never find out what actually happened. But the learning approach, it does the exact opposite. When you focus on understanding the context, you create what's called psychological safety. You know, that feeling that it's okay to be honest and vulnerable. And that's what unlocks the open communication you absolutely need to solve the real problem. And this is so true. Before you even open your mouth, your body language, your tone of voice, that look on your face, it's all sending a message. And that message is either going to be an invitation to learn together, or it's going to be a reason for your team to put up a big defensive wall.
Okay, so let's get practical and talk about those first few moments. This is all about managing yourself first so that you can then manage the situation with real care and focus. This is it, the single most important first step you can take. Just pause. Seriously. When that call comes in with bad news, your body goes into fight or flight mode. Adrenaline is pumping, you want to react, to fix things, to find fault. But just taking one deep breath, it's like a circuit breaker. It interrupts that primal instinct and gives your thinking brain a chance to get back in the driver's seat.
So once you've paused, your first priority is not the broken system or the mistake. It's your people. First, is everyone physically okay? But just as important, how are they doing emotionally? This protocol is all about leading with care. Acknowledge that they're probably stressed or upset. Just listen without judging. Ask them what they need. This isn't about being soft. It's about building the trust you're going to need to have an honest conversation later on. All right, so the scene is safe, your people feel supported. Now your role shifts a bit. It's time to put on your detective hat. But remember, you're not looking for a culprit. You're looking for context. And that all starts by asking way, way better questions. Now, this one might feel a little weird at first, but it is so, so important. You have to avoid asking, why did you do that? Because even though it sounds like a question, it lands like an accusation. It has judgment baked right into it, and it immediately puts the other person on the defensive. You won't get an explanation. You'll just get a justification. So if why is out, what do you ask instead? Well, you use the TEDS framework. These are powerful, open-ended prompts that invite a story, not a defense. You see the difference, right? Instead of why'd you do it, you say, tell me what happened. Instead of demanding a reason, you ask, can you explain the situation to me? Or describe what the conditions were like. These simple changes turn what feels like an interrogation into a genuine, collaborative search for understanding. As you're listening to their story, you have to operate with this idea in your head. Local rationality. It's a game changer of a concept. It just means that nobody comes to work to do a bad job. Whatever they did, it made sense to them in that moment with the information they had and the pressures they were under. Your job isn't to judge their world from your comfy office, it's to understand their world from their perspective. And here's a fantastic little mental tool to help you do just that. It's called the substitution test. You just ask yourself this: if I put another person with similar skills and experience in that exact same situation, could they have made the same mistake? If the answer is yes, well, then you don't have a person problem, do you? You've got a system problem. And as you're looking at that system, you have to ask a really tough question. Were we good, or were we just lucky? Did our safety nets actually work like they were supposed to and stop things from getting worse? That's what we call a fail-safe. Or did our safety nets fail completely, but by pure dumb luck, nothing catastrophic happened? That's a fail-lucky. And let me tell you, that is one of the scariest places to be.
It's a massive warning sign that your system is broken, and next time you might not be so lucky. Okay, so you've managed yourself, you've cared for your people, you've gathered all this rich context about what really happened. Now we get to the final and maybe most important phase, turning all of that insight into real, lasting improvement. You've basically got two main tools in your toolbox here. For those really complex, messy problems where you don't even know what the solution looks like, you pull together a learning team. That's a diverse group that can look at the problem from all angles. But if the issue is tied to a very specific task, you might do a WTT, a walkthrough/talkthrough. That's where you literally go to the place where the work happens and have someone walk you through it step by step, so you can see the hidden challenges for yourself. Now, the whole goal of both of these tools, the learning team and the WTT, is to find the gap between work as imagined and work as done. Work as imagined is the nice, clean procedure in the binder. Work as done is the messy reality of how people get the job done with all the real-world pressures and surprises. And that gap between the two, that's where the gold is. That's where your best learning opportunities are hiding. Now, to make sure this all works, you've got to set some ground rules. First, say it out loud. The goal here is improvement, not punishment. Then, and this one is hard, you have to resist jumping to a quick fix. That's called solution reasoning. Instead, you have to allow for soak time. Give the team a break, let them sleep on it, let the ideas marinate. You'll be amazed at the insights that pop up when you're not forcing it.
So that brings us right back to the beginning. The next time that phone rings with bad news, the choice is yours. Are you going to see it as an obligation to find blame, shutting down any chance of real understanding? Or are you going to see it for what it is, a precious and all too rare opportunity to learn?